Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Rethink Demo and Automation. We're excited to have you here and join us for the next 20 minutes. So our job at Movable Inc. is to take the heavy lifting out of your marketing campaigns while still making them highly personalized. So in the next 15 minutes, we'll show you a simple Movable Inc. tips and tricks that can help you effectively update and automate sections of your email template and make you look like a magician in the process. I love that GIF, especially that t-shirt. A few housekeeping items. So today's webinar is being recorded. So if you want to see everything we're doing again, feel free to go back to the Rethink website and it will be there for you. You can also submit questions at any point through the Q&A chat box there on the right-hand side. And my main man, Mike Dietz, will be there to answer your questions. And turn up that audio so you can hear us loud and clear. I'm Kevin King, Solutions Consultant here at Movable Inc. And in the first part of my career, I spent about 9 years in digital marketing, sent out 500 million emails, worked in web and mobile as well. So my role now is to help prospects and clients improve their marketing tech stack here at Movable Inc. And I'll pass it over to my sidekick, Mr. Dietz, for an intro.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Mike Dietz, Director of Solutions Consulting here at Movable Inc. Been with the company now for a little over 6.5 years at this point. Oh, geez, long time. And based out of our New York office when things are normal, but for the last 6 or so months, based out of the bunker in my basement here in North New Jersey. So we're very excited to have you all here today. And again, unlike a lot of the content that you've seen this week, we are live here today. So apologies if anything goes wrong with the tech or connectivity. Bear with us, obviously. A lot of people were asking me, like, why are you doing live? I said, I don't know. We're either that good or, we're just good or something. We're probably a little bit of both, right? So, again, excited to show you what we got here today. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask those in the chat box, and I'll be sitting here manning those. And without any further ado, Kevin, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, age of COVID. We'll count on the Wi-Fi this time, huh? All right, live demo. Let's get into the fun stuff. So, as solutions consultants, we build multiple demos a week. We work closely with our client experience teams to build out campaigns for our clients. And so what you're about to see today are all the things that our team does on a daily to automate the process so we're not spending countless hours on campaign production. So let's imagine that my company, Incredible Outdoors here, is launching new outdoors gear, and my boss needs me to get a campaign out first thing tomorrow morning. A little stressful. So what you'll see here is a full email template that was sent to me by my design team. And first we have a standard hero with a hiker. So my boss wants to personalize this hero image for subscribers that are out in Colorado, beautiful weather in the forecast. And when they open it, he wants to see something like this. The rock climbing hero, some name personalization over the top as well. And then secondly, he wants to use a product grid that is being powered by external APIs. So as the product information changes, like the price that we're seeing here, Movable Inc. will update the products at the moment of the email open. And then finally, he wants to automate this beautiful product lifestyle image that we have here to look like this and be powered in real time. So again, the boss is itching to get this promotion out. Sounds like a lot of work, and Dietz and I have a happy hour to get to later, so let's see how quickly we can get this done using the Movable Inc. platform. So to start, my boss wants me to customize this hero image. Again, we have this default hero of hiker, but we want to add the variation for the rock climbers as well. So initially, when we look at this hero in the Movable Inc. Studio interface, we've got a background layer with the hero image, and then we've layered on top some name personalization being passed through as a data layer. And the first thing I like to point out is just how easy it is to save out this app and reuse it in the future. So I'm just going to name this app Incredible Outdoors Hero 1 Hiking. And again, I can go back into the Movable Inc. Studio, any of our apps, pull this back in and reuse this template. And you'll see why that's so beneficial here. So again, we want to target people when the weather is clear with a mountain climber hero instead. So using this actions tab, I can drop down and duplicate it And now we want to update the hero image itself. So I'm going to go back in and edit this content. And we have a little bit of a problem because the one image that I have of a rock climber, it's not the same size as this, kind of a pain. And, you know, I don't want to go back and forth with my design team. This has to get out quickly. So Movable Ink has an awesome feature to help with this that a lot of people don't know about. I use it all the time. If I right click on the background image and hit replace image with same dimensions, it will bring me to the media library where I can pull in different graphics here, upload new ones, or another thing that we can do here is if I drag and drop this image, technical difficulties again, let's try that again. If I drag and drop this image, we'll save a few clicks. You can just pull it from a folder or the desktop like I just did, and then add it straight to the canvas here. So now we've got a beautiful hero. I can drag and drop the name personalization, maybe change the colors here real quick, right align it over this headline, and voila. We could resave this app, and we've got a new hero. And what, Dietz, was that like 90 seconds maybe?
Yeah, by my calculation, it was about 47 just with the technical touches there. But, you know, you did a great job of doing that really fast. And again, I just want to highlight the fact that, you know, this is a huge time saver that, you know, we encounter at least on a regular basis as we're, again, building out demos for our clients and customers, right? We know that, you know, not all creative teams are up to snuff in terms of, you know, what can actually fit in an email at the appropriate sizes. So sometimes like we'll be dealing with really high res images. And in these cases where, you know, you're going to get an image back from your creative team that, you know, needs to be formatted, this will hopefully save you a couple extra seconds and not have to worry about, you know, either pinging them and bothering them to resize it or yourself going into Photoshop and playing around with, you know, the XY axis in there. So huge time saver, I think. And again, when Kevin showed me this, I was like, man, I didn't even know this was in our platform. So 6.5 years later, you're still learning new stuff every day here.
Yep, totally. And nobody likes to get into PSD files and modify it, so it's nice that this just does it in a split second. So now let's create a targeting rule where the weather is clear. Actually, take a step back. So the last step is to target the proper audience. We know that a lot of segments get pretty complex within your ESPs, right? Especially if you're duplicating multiple templates and sending them out to different segments. So we've made it very easy to build targeting logic here, so you can save and reuse it. So let's create a targeting rule where the weather is clear, because who wants to rock climb when it's downpouring, right? And we can do and or statements, and the person is in my home state of Colorado. So we're gonna call out Colorado here. Great rock climbing place. And you know, this is the biggest time saver here. We save this rule, so I'm gonna call it Colorado clear weather. Save that out, and at any point in the future, I could create another targeting rule here, go back in, hit this add rule set, and apply the exact same logic. So again, we could really start to add different layers of logic in Movable Ink using one template. Movable Ink will power that block for you. You're not having to duplicate different assets in your ESP.
And again, I can't stress that enough. You know, both of us have come from that email world where, you know, we're dealing with, you know, building out these complex audiences and segments that have several, you know, lines of logic in there. And, you know, who wants to rebuild those, right? So I think that's, again, another little, you know, time saver as you're going into our platform, building things out. You have this capability now that we have the ability here to save and store those segments so that, you know, you don't have to, you know, rebuild the wheel every time that you're working within a content block.
Yeah, the amount of hours that I could have saved doing this instead of building multiple templates. So, cool. Now the boss wants to take the next step to build out that product grid in email. So as you can see from my original email here, we've got 4 products. It can be pretty time consuming to design this for every product, or more so code it so that it's personalized when somebody opens an email. So this is where Movable Ink becomes super valuable in automation. And you know, this whole webinar is focused on automation. So as you can see here, I've got an API with product information that Movable Ink can ingest. Now, you don't need to know a lot about APIs, certainly not trying to scare you off here. But what I do like to point out are these numbers on the left-hand side. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Each number represents a product SKU that has an image, title, price, more of it. And when we drill back down into the data sources application in Movable Ink, you'll see here I've already designed a layout with a dynamic image that we can pull in, other product details that are dynamically changing. And then on the creative settings within our app, I can actually grab the API we just mapped out that I showed you. And so when I actually preview this image, I'm looking at the very first product in this feed. So we've got the ankle saver, $120. It's calling out the 0, which is actually the first product in the feed, which is the ankle saver and $120. Now, the main highlight here is when I double click each property, there's this index. And essentially the index is the product number in the feed. And so it's mind-blowingly easy to use this to update the creative. So if I save this out and I duplicate this block, let's say 3 more times for each of those 4 products, I can now go into the same product grid, and all I have to do is update the index. So I can come back into that same design, update the image or the image index to 1. It's going to grab that next product in the feed, and I can do that with each of these elements, right? So I can do that with every one of these elements, and then when I go back in to preview the image, it's calling out the second product in this feed. So it should be the all-day hikers. And there we go. We got the all-day hikers. So without any need for development, coding, designers, we now have another product grid with the perfect design. And then finally, we know that product grids are important, but they're also kind of boring, let's admit. So here's how we can combine that product grid we originally built and marry it with beautiful lifestyle shots. So you can imagine with the time crunch and trying to get this campaign out door quickly, the back and forth with the design team, it can be too much. So I've slightly modified this block of content. I've duplicated it out. So it still has all my details. You'll see here, I've got the image still, the dynamic image, put it on the left-hand side, the product name and descriptions on the right. But then I've slightly modified it. So I've pulled in a lifestyle image. You'll see from the asset library on the left-hand side, I've got the element here. And this is another feature a lot of people don't know about, but it's super slick and will really make this pop. So I can use this opacity bar and slide it. And all of a sudden, I've got a beautiful lifestyle image as well. So you can imagine you could layer in different images, transparent images, and then when I go to preview it, another super easy way to make your design team happy without needing a totally new brand new asset.
Yeah, and I'll just call out the fact that this is, I think, Movable Ink at its best right here, where we're creating data-activated creative that, isn't necessarily just, as Kevin eloquently put, a boring product grid. We can literally automate this for every single user that opens up the email, depending on, who they are, maybe what they've browsed, or any other additional information that, the client can feed to us, either via the API or as an external parameter. So again, thinking about, the amount of time that it would take creative to build, something like this, and then scaling it across, an entire database full of audience members is impossible, right? Maybe you're lucky if you can get, 3 to 5 out of your creative team on a regular basis, depending on how quickly they work at the end of the day. But this is, I think, again, the true power of what we're able to do and can automate no less for our customers.
Totally. And again, if we save out this creative settings for the app, we can come back in, swap out that background image. So very easy to do here and really make it stand out when somebody opens this email. All right, awesome. So now we've built out a bunch of data activated content within the last few minutes. Dietz, I know we haven't heard your beautiful voice as much as we should, so want to finish it off?
Yeah, my voice is not beautiful, so let's that. But yeah, I think something that a lot of people also take for granted too when they're working within Movable is just the ability to finish and export at the end of the day, and how long that can even take for some customers, right? I think back in my early days of Movable, we were lucky if we had 1 or 2 blocks being powered in a customer's email, and in those cases, I would just go in, copy and paste these creative tags, one at a time, and then have them be inserted into the HTML. But for a lot of our pro clients or some of our long-standing clients, that's often not the case, and they'll have literally 30 blocks of content within a single campaign. That time process alone can take a long time to be able to copy and paste each one of these individually, right? So something that we added earlier on this year that y'all may not be aware of, I can simply click, or Kevin can simply, in this case, click on copy all creative tags and easily drop those into either an email or into a notepad doc that can easily be shot off to your production team or whoever handles the final coding or deployment of your email. Additionally, we've also added in those 3 little dots to the right side of copy all creative tags, which will also allow you to download the creative tags as a CSV file as well, if you prefer to go that method. Additionally, copy all link URLs and copy all image URLs is also an option here as well, just so that we're giving you massive amounts of flexibility as it relates to bringing and copying, pasting all those different codes. So, that being said, I think that's all we had planned for you today, but I did want to get to a couple questions while we still have about 4 minutes left here. So Kev, let me just pull up the chat box. And again, I'll just reiterate, if anybody else has questions, feel free to pop those in the chat box here. Are there any limits to the amount of targeting rules or variations within each block of Movable Link content?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the short and easy answer is no. You can add as many rules that you want here, as well as any variation. So we have some clients that will have 10, 15 variations for one block of content. I just worked with a very big e-commerce client actually that has a lot of different graphics for location. So they actually have different languages built into all this. And I think they had something like 20 different variations.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder too, we work with waterfall logic. So when you are working with multiple targets within a block, our interface will look for, the top match going from the top down, right? So if we detect a match with the first target, boom, we'll show them that content. If not, we're just going to continue to work our way down until we get to that default target or creative, which is on the bottom there. Moving right along, can the click-through be dynamic for an API, Kevin?
Absolutely, yes. So if we go back into this API, we have a URL for each, and all you need to do is go into the Movable Link platform. Let's go back quickly into this API data sources app, and you'll see here from the click-through dropdown, you can actually select the URL if there is one, and Movable Link will, on the moment of open, dynamically change out that URL.
Yeah, for me at least, coming back to my retail days when I was at Cheetah, that would have been a huge time saver, because our client did a lot of product grids back then, and I can attest to not always remembering to update the link for every single image in there, right? So this is just a nice way of automating that and making sure that the link is going to be in sync with the rest of the creative in that block. I think we got time for one more question here, Kevin. Right. How easy is it to find campaigns and assets within the media library?
Yeah. Wonderful question. I do this all the time, and it's another thing a lot of people don't know about. So if I go into the media library here, we can either search assets, but we can also filter by campaigns. So you'll see here all the different campaigns that I have. I can select from the drop down here, which will bring me all my, not only images, but apps that I've built out, or we could go by asset type. So nice little way to say, oh, we know this one has name personalization or a countdown timer. We're going to call out those countdown timers, and it looks like my Wi-Fi is a little slow, but there we go. It would pull up accordingly the type of application.
Sweet. And yeah, and then one other thing I'll call out too is we also have that drop down on the far right there around recently added. I believe if you click into that, that'll also give you some more options. So if you're just looking for the most used piece of content within your library, you can filter by that as well. Again, coming from somebody that has seen the platform really progress in the last 6 years, it didn't used to have this back in the day. So we're very thankful to our product team for taking into consideration a lot of these time-saving requests that we've hit them up with over the past 6+ years, at least in my existence at Google. So, but yeah, that being said, really appreciate everybody's time here today. I think we're at time, so we'll let everybody get to their next session. And Kev, great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Beats.
Enjoy the rest of your day today.
You too. Bye, everybody. Take care.